Hello, football fans. I really do enjoy, the month of December for the holidays, of course. But like I said, December is that home stretch month in the NFL, and that's when things get interesting. That's when playoff spots get clinched. First off, I want to deviate and talk about two different sports forwards. First off, I want to show off this. This is my new Becky Lynch T-shirt. Big fan of the man. Also, as a fan of the bad man, of course. But anyway, and of course, I want to also briefly talk about a different sport, hockey. Great milestone for Alex Ovechkin, 800 career goals. Only the third player to do it, joining the great one, Wayne Gretzky, and Mr. Hockey himself, Gordie Howe, who Ovechkin is only 2 goals away from passing for second all time. So that was a great milestone last night. But back to the subject of sport at hand, which is the National Football League. This week was pretty fun. It was, of course, all the weeks have pretty much. Philly, congrats to them. They became the first team to join the playoff party. All they had to do was win their game, and they did just that. Big time over the New York Giants, who dropped to 7-5-1, but are above the playoff line, as is just like everybody in the NFC East. It's amazing. I'm still amazed by this. The NFC East, 2 years ago, they were the big joke. They were horrible. They were they were garbage. Seven wins won the division. Now here it is, 2 years later, and 7.5 wins is in the bottom of the division. And all 4 teams can make it, and that's something. That has never happened since this current division alignment began in 2002. This is the 21st season of this alignment, and never in the history of the NFL have all 4 teams in a single division reached the postseason. We're one down. Can we get the other 3 soon? But anyway. That's another story. But anyways, congrats to the Eagles. Now the next objective for them is taking the NFC East, and that's followed by getting the number 1 seed, which they are. They kind of have a good hold on because the Vikings lost to Detroit again. They can't seem to win in Detroit, because remember last year they went to Detroit against a winless Lions team, but that was win number 1 for the Lions. And then this year they went to Detroit with a chance to wrap up the NFC North, and that didn't happen quite yet. So as a result of the loss, they have to try again, and they're now 2 games behind Philly for number 1 seed, 3 if you count head-to-head being against them. Philly was the only team to clinch a spot this week. 3 teams could have made it, but like I said, Minnesota failed to beat Detroit, and while Kansas City barely survived the Denver Broncos, who did end up eliminated, the Chargers won on Sunday Night Football, so Kansas City will have to wait for their 7th straight division title. They weren't the only ones who barely survived. I still can't believe Dallas had needed last 2 minutes or so touchdown from Ezekiel Elliott to beat Houston. Houston was already eliminated. They would tank. Well, I almost said the wrong thing. I was about to say they're tanking the division. They're not really tanking. They're just terrible. And they only have 1.5 wins. A win and a tie. That's a half win. See, nobody says that. They say they have 1 win. They have 1.5. A tie's half win, half loss. You got to add that. But yeah, they had a double overtime beating Houston, and I couldn't understand it. But anyway, the big story was Tom Brady lost to Mr. Irrelevant. I thought Brady and the Bucs were going to Santa Clara and just flatten the Niners because the Niners don't have Jimmy G. The Niners need Jimmy G. Yet Brock Purdy, it was a pretty good ass whooping that he gave the Bucs. It was, that whole NFC South is deliciously terrible. It's terrible. I never thought a division with Tom Brady in it would be this bad, and that includes the team with Tom Brady in it. Because usually, when Brady was with the Patriots, the other teams were bad, while the Patriots were just killing everybody. But nobody in that division is any good. And like I said, I love train wreck divisions like these because there's no gray area. It's black or white. Either you get in the playoffs or you get a good draft pick. I mean, not like real good, but good enough considering the records. But it's crazy. But even with the loss, the Buccaneers are still in first place at 6-7. Because the Bucs and the Panthers were the only two NFC South teams who played, because the Saints and the Falcons were both off this past week. And the Panthers, they beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks have been kind of slumping lately, but they beat the Seahawks. So Carolina's one game behind, and they already beat Tampa this year. They got the worst they could do was split that season series. It's crazy what the NFC South is this year. It's even crazy what how good the NFC East is. But in the AFC East, of course, the Patriots won on Monday Night Football, so they're above the playoff line. It was kind of crazy. The Jets were 7th. The Jets had the 7th seed. Then when the Chargers won, they passed the Jets, and when the Patriots won on Monday night, they passed both of them. So it's a bit of a carousel. It's a bit of a carousel going on in that AFC. It's not stacked Royal Rumble fashion like it was last year, where only like 2 teams were eliminated entering the final 3 weeks. But it's pretty good race over there. Baltimore won without Lamar. Cincinnati beat the Browns finally. It's amazing. Joe Burrow couldn't lose to Mahomes, but he had problems against Cleveland. But they beat the Browns, who only have 1 offensive touchdown since Deshaun Watson came back. That's over $200 million. Over $200 million spent on him and only 1 offensive touchdown. That's no bueno. But anyway, of course, the Bills won too, so they remain atop of the conference. As long as they win out, they'll be number 1. That's how that goes. But as far as the playoff picture, that's for another video. But yeah, the Packers were off this past week, and of course, it was just something. I focused on fantasy football more than usual this week, because that's another thing about December. December, especially around this time of December, in most leagues, it's about this close to playoff time in fantasy football. In some custom leagues, you may be already in it. But yeah, I had a playoff match. As far as my fantasy football, I had a playoff matchup this past week, and I lost it. I lost it by quite a bit. So I'm going to be playing for 5th place in that league. As far as a couple others, Week 15 starts the playoffs for me in 2 leagues, while in another I have a chance to get in, and I need this because it's kind of a do or die matchup this week for me. And in another, the 5th league I'm in, it's kind of interesting. I started 0-3 and 1-5 in that league. I'm actually 7-7 in that league. I don't know if I'm going to get a playoff spot though. I moved up to 8th place, but as far as the teams that I could like tie, I think I have less points than all of them. And it's by quite a bit too. So I may be eliminated, but going from 1-5 to possibly 8-7. That's what the Dolphins did last year. That's what the Dolphins did last year. They were eliminated. I think round was it week 17? They were eliminated, but they started 1-7 and ended up 9-8. That's good. Yet they fired Brian Flores anyway. I don't understand that. But yeah. So if I finish 8-7 with a red record, even if I don't make the playoffs in that league, it's much better. It's much better than where I probably could have ended up. So yeah. So it's going to be playoffs for me. It's going to be playoffs for me in 2 leagues in week 15. Of course, the other league, the one where I have to win to get in, the playoffs start week 16, because that's how it goes. It's weird. in standard leagues, there are only like 2 rounds. There are only like 2 playoff rounds. There's a semifinals, there's a championship, and other consolation games. Usually, in fantasy, they don't go the full season because the final week, certain players could be resting or benched for whatever. But some do go the full season. So it all depends. But anyway. So that's my recap of Week 14. Week 15 starts tomorrow. We're in the middle of the month. You believe that? Which means we're almost in the new year. We are getting closer and closer to 2023. So Week 15 starts with an NFC West battle between the Seahawks and the 49ers. And we've got Saturday football. I love Saturday football. We've got Saturday NFL action. The Vikings host the Colts to kick it off, and we got 2 division games: an AFC North battle between the Browns and Ravens, and an AFC East battle between the Bills and the Dolphins. That's all on Saturday. Sunday Night Football this week is also divisional. The Commanders and the Giants facing off for the second time in 3 weeks. Of course, the first meeting ended with the 2020 tie. And of course, Monday Night Football, Packers-Rams at Lambeau. It's kind of bittersweet because when they scheduled this for Monday night, the idea was, well, these 2 teams, they're going to be playing possibly for the number 1 seed in the conference. They had no idea. That's why flex scheduling exists. But unfortunately, you can't flex Monday games. They clearly had no idea that the Rams and Packers would be in the doldrums like this. And I'm still surprised that we're actually in better shape than the Rams. Because even as a Packers fan, I thought it would be the other way around. But no, the Rams can be eliminated this upcoming week. We can't. We can't. We get to live for about another week. Maybe more if we win and some other teams kind of lose. But yeah. So that's what's in store for us in Week 15. So that's my recap of Week 14. If you like this video, click the like button, click subscribe and want more. 2 stories in the description below. One about Week 14 and one about the NFC East. Those two of my stories will be in the description below. Check them out where you can. I'll be back very shortly to announce the clinching scenarios for this upcoming week, and they are quite fruitful. So stay tuned.